After 6 months of living in a van, winter is officially here, and this is how I'm surviving van life. Oh, and that's me, Josie, a lover of views, a hater of condensation, and an unofficial slug coat model.
Yep, and it looks slug.
And I guess, okay, hands up, I don't completely live on my own. I actually live with this fluff ball, Winnie, the sassiest roommate there ever was. She's 6 years old, a labradoodle, she's technically my mom's dog, and she's on loan. Because let's face it, I don't really want to be sleeping out here on my own without a big fluffy teddy bear. So this year, Winnie and I have been gallivanting all over the UK. But for winter, we've taken a questionable turn north. Hello, bonny Scotland. Scotland is wild. Think towering mountains, glassy lochs, and park-ups so remote that you'd swear you've driven into Narnia. It's also the coldest place in the UK. So naturally, you're probably wondering, isn't she freezing up there in her little van? The short answer, no. The longer answer, let me show you. Welcome to my cosy cottage on wheels. This vehicle is a Mercedes Vario 614D. It used to be a 24-seater minibus, and now, after I spent 3 years giving DIY a jolly good go, I've turned her into my cosy cottage on wheels. And this is the Christmas edition. Now don't be fooled. When I say I'm living in a van, I don't mean freezing in a tin can. This bus is luxury on wheels. And one of the main reasons for that is my wood-burning fire. The ultimate winter warmer. Honestly, it gets so toasty in here that most evenings I end up prancing around in my pants. But don't worry, with thermal blinds and reflective film on the windows, no one's getting a peek. And as any good van lifer will tell you, the key to survival is 2 sources of everything. 2 ways to get water, 2 ways to get light, 2 ways to get heating. And enter my dynamic duo, a diesel heater and my beloved log burner. The log burner is mwah for those nights when it gets down to -10 and you're fairly certain that you've accidentally parked in the Arctic. It heats you through to your very soul. Meanwhile, the diesel heater is for those mornings when you just want to flick a button from the bed and pretend that you're in a posh hotel rather than parked up in the Highlands. Together, they're perfection. If one breaks, the other one steps in like a loyal understudy. And honestly, I cannot imagine my van life without them both. The log burner brings the romance. The diesel heater brings the convenience. It is the heating setup of dreams for van life, I swear. It's actually surprisingly cozy in here. Okay, so let's talk about my windows with regards to warmth. I know, when I was picking up my van, everyone was practically screaming, "Don't get windows, you'll freeze! The heat will escape!" But let me tell you something. I love my windows. There's something so magical about waking up and seeing views without having to peek through a crack. Sure, I've had to get a bit creative, with reflective film and thermal blinds, which by the way is so easy to make. It's basically just like whatever fabric you want, plus that reflective film stuff, a little bit of sewing, bish bash bosh, you've got yourself a really nice thermal blind. Easy peasy. But it's all worth it for the views. Because come on, who wants to be living really in a dark metal box? Not me. And these back doors, well yeah, I've literally opened them up to see the best views of the UK. So yes, these doors are amazing and they really add to my van life experience, but, and there's always a but, they do also let in a bit of a draft. Of course they do, they're doors. So I've become a bit of a curtain wangling expert. I basically just hung up this little rail and I throw a blanket over them and boom, problem solved. Not perfect, but it does work. And quite frankly, I'm so grateful to have that view, even if I do have to battle the occasional breeze. So we all know that I have the heating setup of dreams, my log burner, my diesel heater. So it does get really toasty and warm in here. But just to be on the safe side, I have packed some thermal layers because, well, I guess you never know. Thermal vests, thermal tights. And slippers and a fluffy dressing gown. Cannot go wrong with that combo. And bless Winnie, she's even got her own little outfit. I also have 2 duvets in my bedroom. One is for the aesthetic, obviously. I've actually copied M&S here with their layered look, but I think it does look really homey, inviting and cozy. And 2 It's great for when a friend comes to stay, they actually get their own duvet, which is like a 5-star hotel, which means that they really get the hotel experience in my little bus. And number 3 is for when things get really cold, like really cold. I don't really keep the log burner running all night, nor the diesel heater. I just think that's a bit risky. So when it does get down to -10 in the evenings, I'm like, Winnie, grab the blanket. And we have a cozy little evening, all snuggled up under the duvets. Though, top tip, hot water bottles. I've got the long one, and if I take that to bed with me and I put it by my feet, oh, toasty. And that, my friends, is how me and Winnie stay cozy and toasty in Scotland. So let's talk about Opera One R2. It's a web browser that's packed with tools that make browsing both simple and beautiful. Let me show you. Let's start with themes, because this is one of my favorite features. You can completely change how the browser looks and feels with animated themes like Aurora or Midsummer, which is the one that I chose. You can even customize colors, sounds, and animations to make it feel uniquely yours. Next, this split screen feature is genius for multitasking. You just drag one tab down and it instantly splits into 2. Speaking of tabs, Opera One R2 has something called Tab Islands. If you're like me and you're constantly opening up 100 tabs while researching, this keeps them neatly grouped and everything tidy. You can organize the tabs yourself, which is handy for me as I like to keep all of my trip planning together. There is also Tab Traces, which is super handy if you're trying to retrace your steps. Basically, it adds these little underscore lines under your tabs, and the darker the line, the more recently you visited the tab. And then there's Aria, their built-in AI tool. No need for an extra tab, just press, and you can ask it anything while staying on the same web page. Aria can also create images from, like, say, van with flower pattern in the snow on top of a mountain. And one last thing I want to show you is this floating music player. If you're like me and you need a bit of background music while working, this is a dream. It works with all major music platforms. You can move it anywhere, even outside of the browser. I'll leave the link in the description below so you can give it a try. A huge thank you to Opera for sponsoring this video. While Winnie and I have been warm and toasty up here in Scotland, there have been some, shall we say, logistical hiccups. The main culprit, my plumbing. Now, I did have big plans to winterize my water system. Heat pads on pipes, snug little insulation jackets for my tanks, you know, the works. But, in true Josie fashion, I procrastinated. Which now means that all of my lovely outdoor plumbing that is all under my bus is frozen solid. So instead of running water, I've resorted to bottled water. And where am I storing all of these bottles, do you ask? My shower. Yep, my shower is now a high-end storage unit for water bottles, firewood, and approximately 74 coats. You want to see the rest of it? It's like becoming the storage unit. Come with me. Ooh. There you are. Very glamorous. Got some water bottles, wood. Those are my empty water bottles for filling water sometimes. Some coat. Yeah. Hashtag Vanlife. Way. It's kind of like Monica's cupboard from Friends.
Oh my god! You're messy.
Then there's the battery situation. Basically, my solar panels have decided to take an extended winter vacation due to the lack of sun, leaving me relying on campsites really for electricity during the evenings. I also have this very fancy internet, which is great for solo safety and staying connected until it guzzles all of my battery power overnight and wakes me up to battery alarms. So yeah, maybe not so fancy. Now, as much as I would love and need to replace my batteries, I actually bought them right at the beginning of my van build, which was 2019. So considering they survived 5 winters, I think they've done pretty well, but they are starting to show signs of struggling now. But it's just one of those expenses that I'll have to save up for. And I guess that's the thing about van life. The day-to-day can be pretty affordable, especially if you're off-grid and while camping. But when things break or need replacing, that's when it can get expensive. So for now, I'm trying to make do with what I've got, which means if I'm wild camping, I have to work within the limited day hours here in Scotland, which is 8 a.m. till 3 p.m. But if I want power in the evening, that means that I'm not fully off grid and I have to rely more on campsites for charging, which actually adds another expense to the mix. But hey, I guess it's all part of the adventure and the reality of van life, right? So despite my plumbing freezing solid, my batteries threatening to quit life entirely, and my questionable decision to voluntarily head north for the winter, I can confidently say that it's been completely worth it. I mean, come on, just look at this scenery. To be honest, I've been quite lucky with the weather here in Scotland. There hasn't been much snow yet. And while snow would definitely feel Christmassy and festive, there's something pretty vital that I forgot to do before starting this winter adventure. I didn't change my bloody tyres. You know, to proper winter tyres. I know, it's so silly. But 6 winter tyres, extortionate. So I risked it for a biscuit, thinking I'd save some money. But let me tell you, the days that it did snow, I was so nervous driving. And I haven't really driven in the snow before, and I don't have winter tyres on, which yes, is really stupid, but at the time couldn't afford winter tyres. So, in fact, still can't afford winter tyres. That is very expensive. Oh God, I'm a bit nervous. We're off. This is what I'm dealing with, and then that goes off like to the edge of the cliff. Yes, there is ice on the inside of the window. Okay, I know anyone watching this from places where snow is actually a thing is probably laughing at me because this level of snow, I realise, is just dust. But, I am from Kent in England, which is a place where snow never comes, or hardly ever. And I guess considering this is literally my home that holds all of my belongings, that I have actually spent every single penny that I've ever saved and put it into this bus, I think I'm now quickly realising that not getting winter tyres was a really, really silly decision. Oopsies. Definitely one I regret. If I ever take this bus to Norway one day, and I really want to, winter tyres are definitely going on my list. Speaking of things that I'd do differently in winter van life, here is my, if money was no object, my winter van life upgrade wish list. I'd invest in proper winter tyres, I'd upgrade my batteries to ones that don't struggle through short days, and I'd winterise my plumbing system so that I could have running water without worrying about freezing pipes. Okay, but let's celebrate now the things that did actually work really well. My thermal blinds, homemade, easy and super effective. The double duvet setup is luxurious for guests and toasty for me when temperatures drop. And my 2 heating systems, the diesel heater and the log burner. Just in case one stops working, I have the other one. It's backup. It's definitely worthwhile. Layering up and investing in the right clothes is pretty essential too. My snow boots have been my best friends this winter. And my coat, well, let's just say it does make me look like a giant slug. Glamorous? No. Toasty? Absolutely. And yes, I did make a slug dance in this coat. Allow me to demonstrate. Winnie also has her own little winter coat, bless her. Though I was thinking maybe I should get her some snow boots, because one time me and Winnie walked out in the snow and she got bloody icicles on her paws. That can't be nice, can it? And then there's the ever-present question of what about humidity in the van? And well, yeah, I get condensation. Sometimes I even get ice on the inside of my windows. Very scenic, very frozen, but not exactly ideal. I do have air ventilation thanks to my fan, and I've got dry heat from the log burner and the diesel heater, but still condensation manages to sneak in. I've tried those little moisture absorbing boxes and they kind of help, I think, but it's probably time to upgrade to one of those window vacuums that everyone swears by. Apparently they're a game changer. So no, I'm not a condensation expert. It's probably just one of those van life quirks that you have to manage daily. All in all, winter van life is absolutely possible. And not just possible, it can be comfortable and genuinely enjoyable too. I mean, Scotland in winter has been nothing short of magical. Okay, sure, it has been a little bit of a learning curve, things have gone wrong, but I genuinely have loved every single minute of it. And I can't wait to share with you actually all the places that I went in Scotland, hopefully in another video soon. So I've been thinking, maybe January is kind of a good time to do a bit of a Q&A session. So if you do have any questions, about van life, my van build, a bit of goss about me and Winnie, then you can just drop it in one of the comments below. Winter van life has been a bit of a life lesson for me, really. It's made me realise that maybe it's not about surviving the cold and the dark. It's actually about finding ways to embrace it, like lighting candles, stringing up fairy lights, endless cups of tea, and beautiful cuddles with Winnie. And maybe that's the point of life too. We're always going to have those chapters that feel a bit bleak and rubbish. So we might as well try and enjoy them, because I guess we can't really have the light without having a bit of the dark too. Anyways, I hope you have had a really lovely Christmas, and I'll see you next year. Lots of love.